We are back together because we just had to talk about and give our reactions to the Justice League trailer. This is officially trailer number 1 from Warner Brothers Pictures. It was released this morning. The stuff from last year was the Comic-Con special footage, but this one's the first official trailer. So, Jason, I'm going to toss it to you first, and just let's start with like your emotional reaction to seeing it.
Oh, I thought it was cool. It did some things that I've wanted to see happen that weren't in the other trailer, and it does definitely have that feeling of team building. So I thought it was positive, and it looks promising to me. Quite a bit better than the last trailer for myself.
Yeah, the last trailer, I think that's why they didn't want to call it a trailer, is because, it gives you just a little bit of introduction to the characters, but not in an action setting. It was just, a lot of them meeting each other, talking, getting a little bit of visual of the settings. But this one, you get settings, you get the characters interacting with each other, and you get little snippets of action. So it's much more of a complete kind of trailer.
Definitely, I would agree.
Yeah, so for me, my reaction was just very, very like over the moon, basically. Like I played it, I was ready, for whatever was going to hit me, and I started like in my mind trying to keep track of all the cool moments. Like, and then I realized just every single scene I was like tagging in my mind as a cool moment. So it was literally like, oh wait, I'm actually just thinking that every single thing that's happening is cool.
Yeah.
And when it was done, I just felt like really energized, really excited about the whole prospect. I think the main thing I was really excited about is the set of characters and how their characterizations are already coming through. And it seems like a nice blend of characters. They're not all hitting the same note as each other. So I really liked seeing them interact. And at the end of it, too, I was just kind of like, I loved Flash. He was my favorite. No, Aquaman. He's my favorite. No, Batman. Like, look at what Batman's doing and pulling them all together. He's my favorite. And like Wonder Woman gets to drop down again and like, doing her sliding kick, like similar to the Wonder Woman movie.
Right.
So like, I was basically just in my mind like excited about all of it, which is amazing because usually when I see a trailer, there's like a few spots that really get me. This one, it was like the whole set of things just got me.
Yeah, I'm with you on a lot of that too. Like for me, the team building once again is a huge part of it. And I really want to see how this works into the story that we still haven't even got a glimpse of Superman. So I hope they save it for a really big reveal in the trailer or sorry, in maybe a possible next trailer of the movie itself. But I'm really curious to see how they're going to go about the story of getting everybody together and why we're getting glimpses of that. But more of that will kind of quell my fears that I had before about it and how Zack Snyder would handle this. And I think based on what I've seen, it's like I said, promising, and I'm excited. And, even things like making the Flash different than the Flash in the TV show, they've already showed with the effects and stuff in this trailer that it does look quite different. So that's a big step forward for me as well.
Yeah, I liked it too. Like so far, I've gotten really more excited about the Flash in just the last couple days. Like his little 15-second, 20-second tease, and then seeing him in this. My excitement and anticipation for him has gone way up. And yeah, we both like the CW show The Flash, but yeah, like you, I'm glad that this one looks different. The suit's different, the way that they do the effects are different.
Yeah.
And his personality definitely seems much different.
Totally.
Like we saw before, like him needing friends, being kind of a loner, but he's kind of like this guy that you just sort of like. He's a loner, but he's like sort of you just like the guy. Like he kind of steals the scenes that he's in, maybe with just his personality and his quirks and that kind of thing. So I definitely, that's one of the things that took 5 steps up in my book is my anticipation for the Flash.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And also Aquaman is like they're giving him a little more character and kind of a cool edge to him, because that guy was in Game of Thrones and things like that. And Aquaman really needs that because in the books, depends who's writing him or drawing him. He's, arguably a pretty boring character. So this is the right step for Aquaman as well, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are taking notice of Aquaman. I remember in 2014 when Zack Snyder was filming in Michigan, which is where I'm from, he called into a radio show to talk about Aquaman, and he was basically telling these radio hosts like, no, Aquaman can be cool. He doesn't have to be like super friends.
That's right.
And Zack Snyder said like, you can make a real tough, intimidating version of Aquaman. And everybody heard Zack talking about that, but they're kind of like, okay, maybe. But now I think people are like, oh, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think that the costume looks really good on film too because
yeah.
the stills we had seen before, except for one, looked pretty dark. So I like that you really saw the green in the costume here, and it looks really cool.
Yeah, and I like that we have some underwater elements and some seaside elements with Aquaman, but we also have him just joining the team on land, and he seems also to have a lot of, tactics and ability on land as well. So
Hmm.
to me, it seems like he's really going to kind of bring it together. And the thing I'm probably most excited about with Aquaman, we saw a little glimpse of Mira, but I'm actually most interested in him and Batman
Mm.
because it looks like they're really going to have a kind of an arc to their friendship over the movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking back to the Comic Con teaser footage. Bruce Wayne is saying, "I'm looking for this guy," and then Aquaman Arthur throws him up against the wall, and then Batman says, "Like I heard you talk to fish." So
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
definitely they start from that sort of a place.
Yeah.
But in this one, we get a lot more because we see how far Bruce had to go to try to find Arthur Curry. So like
Hmm.
Bruce is really putting a lot of effort in to track this guy down. And then they start and it doesn't go so well, and that's like the more less, and Bruce is kind of like more or less. He's probably not going to join us. But now we can see like no, that's a development throughout the movie, and I think it's going to be really meaningful when we get to that point later when Aquaman and Batman are like teaming up. It looks pretty awesome.
Totally. And I wouldn't be surprised too if they use the this introduction of him to kind of it's almost like the audience would think that Aquaman's lame from, the storied history of the character or depending who's working on it. And I think they're going to work that in the movie to be like, oh, this guy actually is a badass. And I think that'll really, work well for having him in the movie in this way and doing this take on him with Jason Momoa playing him.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think it'll be great because we will get a few glimpses of Atlantis and his role in Atlantis, and we might have like a flashback to the ancient past when
Mm,
Atlantis maybe got their mother box.
yeah.
But I think it won't be like a full exploration of Atlantis, but it will hopefully pique everyone's interest to then want to go see the Aquaman movie next year.
Yeah.
And so that's like the approach that Warner Brothers is taking to like in BVS they gave us a little tease of Wonder Woman where she mentions like I've withdrawn for the last 100 years. That makes us interested in the Wonder Woman movie. Now
Hmm.
here I think we will all get really interested in Atlantis and Aquaman, and then that'll bring us into the Aquaman movie next year.
Yeah, totally. And as an aside, too, I think once again the choice of the director for Aquaman is pretty cool, a different choice for a superhero movie. So I think they're really going to play up that kind of dark element of the underwater stuff. So it could be quite good.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's also just making me like excited for this movie, but the trailer also made me excited for the universe overall because I'm seeing
Yeah.
these interconnections. Another interconnection that I'm seeing is with Bruce's arc and Wonder Woman's arc. So like in BVS, Bruce, is going down to this very dark, isolated place, and then he finally kind of comes out of it at the end of BVS. And now in this trailer, we see Commissioner Gordon say, "Oh, you're playing well with others again."
Hmm.
So it is a continuation of Bruce coming back into the light and actually being productive with teammates and things again.
Totally. Yeah.
Um, and like in BVS, he lost Robin, and so Zack Snyder talked about how he actually like took out the co-pilot seat in his like bat plane,
Right.
and he replaced it with a gun turret because that's like I don't have my partner anymore.
Mm.
He's like isolating himself. But now in Justice League, he has Aquaman like riding on the Batmobile, so he has like a co-pilot with him again.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. Actually, that mentioning that scene, that's probably one of the coolest parts of the trailer to me because just like in Avengers or other superhero team up movies, that's something you need to have and do something cool with it. And seeing
Yeah,
Aquaman and Batman team up on the Batmobile is kind of like a fanboy moment, but it's
yeah.
really well done. And I think the movie needs to have a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, you're right. Like it can't just be that they're fighting individually, but
No.
just in the same battle. It has to be that they're interacting with each other and they're, playing off of each other in the fight, which is exactly what that Batmobile shot does.
Yeah.
It's also just filmed really well. Like the car is coming at the camera, and then like right when it's in front of the camera is when they have their little banter and look at each other, and then it goes past the camera and then flies back to the left. It's just this is like Zack Snyder. He knows exactly how to capture that energy.
Totally. And I think a long time ago we talked about what could happen in this movie and that in the original Justice League book they always did these cool little things in each story where two characters would team up and go on side missions who normally wouldn't team up together. So that's what
Hmm.
makes it really cool. They're kind of missing a bit not having Green Lantern in here because him and the Flash always had
Yeah.
cool stories, but
Right.
maybe they can do that with Cyborg too. And
Yeah.
I'd also like to see Wonder Woman team up with characters you don't expect to because she's so serious and straight laced seeming in a lot of scenes. It'd be really
Hmm.
funny to play her off the Flash or something like that.
Yeah, I think there is a lot more that we can look for in that. And speaking of Wonder Woman, she has, I think, a little bit of a connection from BVS to here too, because in BVS at the very end, she says, maybe these people don't want to be found,
Right.
and now she says, where are they? Like,
Hmm.
so she has come around, and she's like, no, we do need to go get these other metahumans.
Yeah.
So she has now this joining up and kind of seeing Bruce's angle about the threat and how they need to get the team together.
Yeah, totally.
Um, Yeah, and I like it how we got some really creepy and good glimpses of the parademons, but like you said, we didn't actually get a full explanation of what the threat is exactly. We know it's apocalypse based, we know Steppenwolf, we know the parademons, we know that the mother boxes are involved,
Yeah.
but this one was not a plot trailer. This one was a like introduction to the characters and the style kind of trailer.
Yeah, that to me is my only kind of. There's only a couple things I didn't really dig about this trailer, and that's one of them. I think
Hmm.
they really need to establish the baddie in this movie before we get to the movie. Really just explore that and let people get excited about that because I don't want to just see glimpses here and there of the parademons or Steppenwolf even. We need full kind of reveals as we get closer and something to
Hmm.
kind of differentiate it from another, superhero movie where aliens are invading Earth. Like I want it to have its own flavor and its own style because so far the
Yeah.
rest of the trailer show me it can really do that.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think the difference might come in those prologue scenes,
Hmm.
where if we go to ancient history and we see like, well, it looks like there's this battle of like the Amazons against parademons, but maybe that's like way in the past.
Right.
And I think that historical context could make it different than just a typical alien invasion.
Yeah.
Because now it's maybe making it like, oh, there's these three cultures. There's the Amazons, Atlantis, and humans, and it has this, 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago history. So to me, that could bring a new angle to the alien invasion story, which has been done a lot of times.
So next up, Sam, I'd like to talk about Cyborg a bit. That was my only other part of the trailer I didn't love. It looks like they're really sticking to the story, and we're gonna get that good stuff of Cyborg, that he was an athlete and all this kind of stuff, and probably
Hmm.
some good stuff with his father. My only
Yeah.
concern is that the character looks to be largely CG. And
Hmm.
the CG's really got to hold up well. Like, I don't want it to look like the way we got some scenes in the prequels for Star Wars, where you could really tell a character was fully CG.
Yeah.
And with this one, even more because you're still going to have his face in there, or at least part of it, anyways. So, just to me, I just really hope that holds up well because like, the couple parts in the trailer, he looks cool in motion, but when he's kind of standing and talking and walking, it looked a little wonky to me. So, I hope they
Hmm.
kind of address that and make it that the CG will be a bit more timeless.
Yeah, so I'm excited about the character of Cyborg and the story around him, but yeah, that the technical side of it, I'm sure it's pretty challenging because it's not just a character that needs to stand there. He needs to be in all these action scenes and stuff. So
Hmm.
I'm sure it's a big challenge for the CGI teams. But what I've noticed, and other people have noticed too, is like each little bit of footage that's been shown or images of Cyborg, he's gotten better each time. So I think that it's kind of this ongoing process of they are adding new layers, adding new nuance to it, and it's getting better and better. So I'm thinking that it'll be probably pretty good, ready to go by November. And the last thing I wanted to ask you about was the music, because with like BVS and Wonder Woman, they went with kind of an orchestral score, kind of matching the theme and tone of those movies. This one, and the Comic-Con footage earlier, and basically everything so far related to Justice League has been more of a rock and roll kind of like style to it.
Right.
So I wondered like what your reaction is to that style.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm a White Stripes fan, so I like that they put this song in here because it's not one of their most famous songs.
Hmm.
So it doesn't have that thing that are in a lot of movies where you're like, oh, I've seen this song in so many movies,
Right.
and you already think of other movies when before you even get to the scene, right? So I think this is cool. I don't know if the whole movie is going to be like that because I found that Suicide Squad relied a little too much on pop kind of culture music. So I'd
Hmm.
like to see a blend. I know that it's probably not Hans Zimmer doing the music because he's kind
Junkie
of
XL this time.
yeah. So that's kind of cool because that guy's always famous for electronic music. So I
Hmm.
think as long as he's got some orchestral parts to it, and say they use the odd song like this in a certain action scene, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it, definitely in the marketing. And then I'm not sure how much the rock and roll will be used like in the movie itself.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, like a good choice here, come together, kind of matching with putting the team together. And, basically everybody knows the song from the Beatles, but they might not at all know this version of it. So it does
Right.
sound kind of cool and fresh and
Yeah.
fitting to the I think the power and kind of attitude of the team.
I would agree with that for sure.